So here we are, the game of the band that had by far the most iconic t-shirt of the 1980s. Sorry, Fat Willie Surf Shack. Frankie says relax. And what a game it is too, probably the best I've covered in this musician series so far, despite not featuring the band very much at all. But before we get to Frankie Goes to Hollywood, the game, let's talk about Frankie Goes to Hollywood, the band. What a novel idea. Formed in Liverpool and comprised of guitarist Brian Nash, bassist Mark O'Toole, drummer Peter Gill, and vocal duo Paul Rutherford and Holly Johnson, Frankie Goes to Hollywood's rise wasn't just meteoric, it was Kuiper Beltic. If you know what that means, well done, you big space nerd. They were the second band in history to have 3 debut number 1s, preceded only by fellow Liverpudlian band, wait for it, Jerry and the Pacemakers. Were you expecting someone else? And they were only superseded by the Spice Girls, who we might have covered recently. Is there a link up there? Oh my god, there is. And they preceded it with about 6. So this was despite Mike Reid, the famous Radio 1 DJ's successful attempt to get the band's signature debut single Relax banned from the BBC airwaves. But the controversy from that promptly led to the song squatting filthily atop the top 40 for 5 weeks, taunting poor old Mike from up high by flashing its sexually charged lyrical scrotum at his dumb, numpty, puritanical face. Take that, Mike. The band and Mike, though, well, they annulled their feud soon after, with Mike providing a voiceover for an advert for them, so no hard feelings. Mike, as we know, would go on to have an embarrassing interview with Chevy Chase, sing an even more embarrassing song at a UKIP conference, and star in the Spectrum game Mike Reid's Pop Quiz, which you can see here. Frankie Goes to Hollywood took their name from an old copy of the New Yorker magazine, which had the moniker as the headline for an article about smooth-vocaled warbler and mafioso chum Frank Sinatra. And they weren't just a flash in the pan, well, initially. They built on the success of the decidedly homoerotically videoed Relax with the equally anthemic and bombastic Two Tribes, which, I swear if you don't like, you can't be allowed out alone, as you'll probably try and plant your money like seeds in the park to grow money trees and try and clean any windows with your tongue. They followed that up with The Power of Love. Not the Huey Lewis one from Back to the Future, but the slow-paced but effective love ballad. A song which became a staple of those god-awful Christmas albums on the account of it being released in December and having the birth of Jesus in the video. Not literally, I meant the nativity. You don't see old miracle trousers crowning out of the Virgin Mary or anything. That would be weird. With debut album Welcome to the Pleasure Dome proving to be a certifiable hit, the band quickly discovered that it was difficult to replicate that awesomeness of their debut and released a less flamboyant effort in the album Liverpool, which eventually saw frontman Holly Johnson leave for that old chestnut, the old musical differences. Some naughty legal shenanigans involving record contracts, and separately a very strange American imposter group led by a man claiming to be Holly Johnson's brother, and they added to the decline of the band. And despite several attempts to reform throughout the intervening years, it's now unlikely we will ever see a full-strength lineup of Frankie Goes to Hollywood reform to record new material. What cannot be denied, though, is that initial impact, nor the sheer quality pop of the Welcome to the Pleasure Dome album. It is an absolutely gilded standard 80s LP, and I urge you to go and listen to it. It is this album on which Denton Design's Frankie Goes to Hollywood is designed around. Using the band's imagery, slogans and music as its core, The objective in the game is to explore the town of Mundainesville, apparently a washed out town near Liverpool, and find the access to the mysteriously enticing Pleasure Dome. The Pleasure Dome, eh? If it's halfway as good as Blackpool Pleasure Beach, well, our game protag is in for a treat. Sticks of rock, fat men in Kiss Me Quick Hats, all blimey, can't beat a bit of that. As a side note, I can't seem to find Mundainesville on Google Maps. Is it near Birkenhead? Or Birkenhead, if the locals were to say it. Please don't drop me as a subscriber if you're from Liverpool. I have family up there, they love me dearly. And I have visited the city many times and do indeed love it. Even the bit where they filmed this morning, but don't anymore. Released on the big 3 8-bit formats by Ocean in 1985, you're tasked with turning your avatar into a full person. If you're not a full person, well, the Pleasure Dome has a strict non-half person policy. To become this full person, you need to fill the 4 separate attribute bars to 100%. These bars represent sex, war, love and faith, which can be filled with a variety of methods, from taking pills to feeding cats milk to playing a variety of simple yet well incorporated mini games, 10 of them to be exact. You explore several streets and houses within Mundainesville in search of the mystical Pleasure Dome, looking for the entrances to the mini games and using the objects you pick up along the way. There's no way to die as such, but you can fail if you use the objects in the wrong manner, as it will make it impossible to fill those 4 bars. Look, that one spunk. The way you access the mini games, where most of the bar filling points can be accrued, is by using objects in certain rooms, such as putting VHS tapes into televisions. This will open up a little window on the screen, like you've opened up a little browser on top of another one. Walk into that and you're taken to the minigame. I like this, it's pretty neat, and who doesn't want to play a spitting Ronald Reagan head in a breakout clone, eh? I personally have waited for this exact opportunity to play Ronald Reagan as a spitting head in a breakout clone since I first laid eyes on him. Other games include trying to bounce a pill through a tiny hole with your head, which I can inform you, as a concerned parent, is exactly how the young people take their Mary Jane pills. So watch your children if you're a good parent, like I am. You can also protect Merseyside from some very late and pretty lost German bombers and wander around in a bland maze, like a trip to a large local hospital, and who doesn't enjoy doing that? Also involved is a fascinating murder mystery that you have to investigate in order to further your Pleasure Dome penetration attempts. It's a very important part of the game, this, and you must make sure you do it and guess accurately. I like this bit of the game quite a bit. Though it's one of those 8-bit games that is initially utterly baffling, what with it not being a shoot 'em up or a platformer, which are easy to access, it doesn't have a lot to do with the band either, but it is a brilliantly creative use of the license, and it is a solidly varied game to boot. It is genuinely good and a very, very interesting game. But what did the gaming press think of it? Well, they pretty unanimously loved it, which is very rare for any type of license, let alone one of those based on a band. Crash gave it the coveted Crash Smash, accompanied with a 94%, saying that the graphics are very imaginative and that this is a highly innovative arcade adventure that you must not be without. Zap loved it like they were married to Scarlett Johansson herself, with a gold medal and a stonking 97%. I don't think I've ever had a score on any of my channel's games as high as that. They put forward that it was a tough and pleasurable challenge in finding your personality. Amstrad Action, they weren't quite as keen, but they still liked the game quite a bit. They gave it an 83. and offered that as more and more elements of the game are discovered, it is very difficult to stop trying to be a real person, and you could find yourself playing for many hours at a time. And there, ladies and gentlemen, is the mark of a good game. All those unanimously good reviews. It's another winner for Denton Designs, like When Time Stood Still and Great Escape. But it makes me upset that they never got that Transformers game right, because that is the game I wanted most as a child, and when I played it, had some good ideas, but it was poorly delivered. You can see the video if you tap the link there. That's the one game, though, I wanted them to get right. And I could guess I should just let it go. And maybe Frankie would advise me to relax. That's it for today. Okay, thanks, bye.